You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, episode 14.
On today's episode, we discuss this week in music, kingdom, and catch up on life.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. Welcoming back to the show this week. Yes, everyone, she is alive. Juggling and school did not, in fact, kill her. We welcome back Koala.
I hate you.
Hi, Koala. How's it going?
You make it seem that I'm only juggling 24/7.
Oh yeah, there are some other things that you've been up to, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show during our check-in. But we are recording this on Wednesday, April 14th, 2021. And yeah, I think that was all the announcements, is that you're back. And it's good to have you back. I think we've still been chatting a lot and still just been keeping in touch. We did an episode of the Soju Sessions together, and that was a nice way to, catch up on life. And I think it's going to be a great starting point for a lot of other conversations in the future with certain members of the nation, certain people with daily music recommendations, perhaps.
Oh, God.
That's what you call a tease.
Stop it.
All right, well, let's move on to celebrating the nation with birthdays this week. On April 16th, we have one birthday. We have Raya, in brackets, Real G's Moving Like Silence, parentheses, Lynn. So, happy birthday on April 16th. I hope you have an excellent day celebrating with friends, family, and loved ones, and I hope you get 1 million pings on Discord by everyone on the SojuTalk Nation server. All right, let's move on to this week in music. We have 3 songs that the crew covered this week. The first one is Yukika with Insomnia, STAYC with ASAP, and Shiny with Atlantis. So let's start with Yukika and Insomnia. Before we started recording, Koala was singing. She was vibing. She loves this song, apparently. Koala, what are your thoughts about how the crew discussed this song and their thoughts and feelings about the music video?
I was singing one line, okay?
You are a true Yukika stan, let's be real.
I listened to like 4 songs of her, max. But in general, I thought it's just really a vibey song, like the crew described it. And I also enjoyed the visuals of the MV, just like Anita. I think it's just that, is it a filter that they set over it that just gave a whole mood that fitted well to the music?
Yeah, I think I think they put a filter on it. I'm not sure if it's a specific lens to make it look that way, but it's the blur, dreamy look, kind of like how Doug described it. Yeah, I think so. The music video very much fits like this dreamy, almost like angelic vibe, and I think it fits her style of music very well. I feel like it fits this song very well. But I did feel that Warren's comments were interesting in that Yukika's previous release, her entire album, was all very different. All of her songs like stood out, and she had a very distinct style and through line, but all creatively separate. All the songs were creatively separate. Whereas this song, it felt like one long trip, which is kind of cool, but it kind of pigeonholed her into one particular sound. Do you agree with kind of Warren's takes on that? And what are your opinions on vitamin-induced trips that are similar to this song?
Oh my god. So I would agree to Warren. This song did feel like one long trip. But the vitamins, what are you expecting for me to talk about.
You don't.
I'm a minor. I have no experience. I can't tell whether that is true or not. Can you tell, though, Grandpa?
Well, first of all, you live in Europe. You live close to countries that allow for legal purchase of various vitamins. Some vitamins are green, some vitamins are tablet formed. I don't know these things. I don't live in Europe. But I can speak to vitamin consumption and letting you know that from what I've heard, yes.
From what you've heard.
Very similar. But the thing is, like, I didn't get like the intense feelings of being on a long trip from vitamins. I got more like listless, like fluidity. Like I'm still like very conscious and very like sober. Like I didn't actually feel like I was on vitamins. I don't know. I think visually it probably felt that way, but I wouldn't say like it made me feel that way, you know? Does that make sense? Anita also did mention that it's very groovy. There's a very modern take on the sound and genre. How do you feel like Yukika separates herself from kind of what else is popular right now, contemporary music? And do you feel like it's something that she can sustain?
I honestly can't remember her like past music style. I know that I listened to it, but because I just put everything on shuffle, I never remember who the artist is or what the song is called. I can only imagine that it would be any. Do you know? Like, I really have no clue.
Okay, so I will admit, like, I can't name Yukika songs, but I have them also on a playlist. It's like a city pop playlist, but like a funk, like vibin' contemporary vibes playlist. And contemporary disco, I think that's how I described it. And I definitely feel like she's at the top of that list, only because like we know her through the server. But she does it very well, from how I can, in my opinion, from how she's looped on shuffle on various playlists. But I'm without concerned or worried is correct, but I'm curious to see if she can go in a different direction, because it does feel like this is a very not simplistic. It's a sound that she can definitely come back to often. She's very good at it, but I want to know like what kind of room there is to change and grow and kind of evolve the genre moving forward. I'm not an expert on city pop or this style of music at all, but I'm just really curious if there is more room to grow, and if they perhaps tap into a different decade of like retro. Yeah. What do you think, Koala? Is there another decade of retro that we can still tap into with this kind of music?
Is there? I'm like really bad at differentiating all these.
I mean, it's fair. You were literally born
periods.
in the mid 2000s, so.
You're making it seem like I'm 10 years old.
You're not? I mean, I'm 90, so everyone is like 100 years younger than me anyway, so that's fine.
90 and okay, totally makes sense. Yeah.
I mathed really well. You didn't know?
You excelled. I can tell.
I'm excellent in math. Moving on now to... Okay, I will just say this at the very top. This is my favorite Gen 4 girl group in recent memory. Yes, Weekly is cool. They're fun. They're young and youthful, and I like their vibe. I like their content. I like all the shows that they're on. But musically, STAYC hits different. And so STAYC comes back with ASAP. This is their second single. After having debuted last year, they're produced by Black Eyed Pilsen, and the crew had a lot of great things to say about the song. Koala, was there anything that stood out to you with how the crew talked about STAYC and their visuals and their concept and how they kind of separate themselves from the other Gen 4 girl groups?
First of all, Warren, how many food analogies will you just continue to bring into the discussion? I don't know. am I amazed by the amount of food analogies we've had in the past 130? Oh god, which episode are we on? 34 episodes. I'm guessing. Do you know it?
I don't have it up, but I think it's 140. Yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, I could look it up right now, but anyways, keep going.
So, let's be very clear, not big on girl groups. I'm mostly just listening to it, not really analyzing it. I was just like, oh, that's cute. At the beginning, it was weird, so I had the same same thing like Doug, that it took a while. It took like some listens, but I think it's interesting that they did this concept if you consider their debut track So Bad, which I would say is pretty different. Hoping I'm not thinking of the wrong song. Crispy, help me. I'm thinking of the right song, right? So Bad was different? Yes?
Yeah, it's faster. Much faster.
I think it's just in the... Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I think it's just kind of in the same realm of like the more... I don't know, like... Also, the visuals just more saturated, more colorful, and the whole music is also just giving off that vibe that's very, just very happy, I would say. And I think it's good for them to do that if you look at the current trend still being more girl crush, I would say. This isn't directly bubblegum, but I would say it's like in that area of bubblegum-ish songs.
All right, so the episode that SojuTalk is on is 134. And
yes.
So you nailed it. Yes, I think you are absolutely correct in that they are going in a different direction musically. I don't know if it's the current trend itself, but I think the current image of K-pop right now, of what's most popular, is edgy, dark concept, girl crush, storytelling, like a lot of storytelling. And I also feel like this can apply to boy groups from what I've seen in Kingdom and just like boy groups in general.
Oh god.
But I think STAYC is moving in a really interesting direction from just bubblegum. And I actually have a longer conversation about this with a very special member of the SojuTalk Nation coming up on Soju Sessions this week. But to give a little bit of a preview, I kind of feel like this is moving now into 2000s retro. I think STAYC may have figured it out and like really captured like early Ariana Grande vibes. If you know who JoJo is, so she's a Western R&B singer, very similar to early Ariana Grande. And I think, for maybe a couple of years now, maybe 1 or 2 years, I was curious on what early 2000s retro was going to sound like, just because for me, I lived it. And I couldn't tell you like how to differentiate between 2000s, early 2000s, late 2000s, and like 2010s. But then now thinking about like Ariana Grande at that time, thinking about who else is big around that time? I think it was like 3LW. I don't think you know who they are. I think they were also late 90s. But that type of hanging out with your homies in the neighborhood, chilling with your homeboys and homegirls, just like posting up kind of music, very like puppy love music, is coming back. And I think this is the sound that we're slowly evolving into. As far as the cruise takes, I was really happy that they loved it. I was really happy that they were very specific in things like the choreo, the flute, the woodwind sounds, and Warren with just the right amount of seasoning. Chef's kiss. God. Well done. Checking all of Warren's boxes. Very big statement, by the way, for him saying that this is one of his favorite girl group songs of the year. And if you look at it, we're a third of the way through the year, so, you know.
There hasn't been a lot, though. It's been slow.
Yeah, I agree.
April's popping off.
Yeah, musically, we haven't had as much music as we've had in the past, especially compared to last year. but I still will say like this song sticks with me far more than a lot of girl group songs I've listened to recently. Not to
You're
say,
just saying you just want the dailies to attack you. Let's be very honest here.
I like Weekly a lot. I like their sound. I like Bubblegum. I like their Bubblegum. I just feel like this is a very clear difference and way to differentiate between two groups. Because oftentimes, like, if you think about like trends, right, and how like if Bubblegum were to be big tomorrow, I feel like everyone would be just a copy and paste of Weekly, where they would just go super high BPM, super happy, super colorful, and just like almost like try to recapture the magic that Weekly had starting from last year. And if you think about it, it's almost been a year since Weekly debuted. Where it's like STAYC's going kind of in a different direction. Yes, like they're very like colorful and saturated music video wise, but the sound and song is still different, right? It almost has like a hip hop like. I don't know, like there are definitely hip hop vibes in the song. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've talked a lot about STAYC. Is there anything else you want to say? Any closing thoughts about the group and the song?
I'm not a STAYC fan as much as you are, so I can't really give input. Yeah. I know that they're selling pretty well though for like new debuted girl group. I think 30K. I think that's about how many albums they sold. That's pretty solid for a girl group.
Yeah. I do think they are capturing a certain sound that has not been explored yet. And it's weird to say because K-pop is typically about reinventing things that people have already heard, which I can see that with STAYC's music. But there is, I don't know, there's kind of a freshness to it, as far as me and my experience and why I like them so much. Yeah, enough about STAYC. I'm a Swith, so moving on.
Oh my god.
We have the last song this week covered on the show with SHINee and Atlantis. All right. Koala, this is a boy group. I like this boy group. I like Taemin.
But I like Taemin the most.
I will let you do the honors. Tell me how you felt about the song and the crew discussion.
This is not fair that every boy group just goes to me even though I don't stand them. That's not how it works. But anyway. So, this song was, as the crew said, just very much what I would expect of SHINee. I also did like it a lot more than Don't Call Me. Don't Call Me was just kind of a weird experiment, I would say. I don't really remember a whole lot of the song. I think for SM it's always been their weird fashion style and their visuals for the MV that's more like memorable for me, at least, because I'm not too big on SM groups. But in total, I don't know whether they should continue to do this style. I mean, it works for them, but as I think Warren said, they should also maybe experiment a bit more. Yeah, do I have any takes? Do you have any takes?
I don't have any like serious takes. I really watched the music video and had a good time with it. I felt, well, at first I actually thought it was a CF and I was curious why they were covering it at all. And then I was like, oh, then this is a real song. Oh, it's a repackage. Oh, okay, cool, got it. Because it was so different from the previous song. Like, so different. The previous song sounded like an NCT song. I feel like that's been said so many times, but honestly, like when I really think about it, it's like, yeah, this probably should have gone to a different group or was made for a different group. And now SHINee's doing it. Well, this song is a little bit closer to how I remember SHINee. Fun, lighter. The music video itself is kind of goofy. Like they lean into like the underwater sea themes, which is cool. Doug did point out that there are octopi.
Oh god.
How do you pronounce it? Whatever. Plural octopus and tentacles. Tentacle eye. So many tentacles. Yeah, it's odd and mysterious, but I think this is kind of SHINee letting you know that they're this good. Because honestly, like all levels of performance, vocal, music styling, dance, presence, it's all there. And it's there to a degree that separates them from so many other boy groups that even me just saying it doesn't really make sense until you actually see it. So I think I appreciate SHINee for that aspect, because unless you watch the music video, unless you watch them on stage, unless like you're actively participating in their experience and like kind of the art form, you don't. It's kind of nebulous. It doesn't really make sense why people say that they're so good until you fully experience it. And I feel like when boy groups come back, inevitably something will be lost. Whether that's just age, whether it's just being away from the industry for so long. But with this, they've been doing this for almost as long as you've been alive. So, oh my God. Where is the lie? So yeah, I think ultimately I will say I really appreciate them and this song and what they're able to continue to do with such excellence. Am I going to listen to this song and watch the music video on repeat? Probably not. But I definitely appreciate and can only say fond things about the song and this comeback and SHINee themselves. So those are my takes. Any closing thoughts about SHINee and the crew?
I don't think so.
All right, let's move on now to the Soju chart this week. We have number 3 with SHINee and Atlantis. Number 2, your future girl group rookie of the year, STAYC with ASAP. And at number 1, we have the lovely, the talented, the person that makes me cry because she's so excellent and amazing, IU with Lilac. That is IU's 3rd crown in the past 3 weeks. So she will be retired to the Hall of Spice, joining BTS with Dynamite, twice with I Can't Stop Me, and Dreamcatcher. Koala, what are your thoughts? And yeah, what are your thoughts and how do you feel about this chart?
I think I don't have a problem with it. I myself would have probably switched SHINee with Yukika. But in general, I think it's fine. I wasn't too hooked on any of those, considering that IU's is already 3 weeks old. So I would have been fine with any placement, probably.
Have you been listening to the IU album?
A couple of times at the beginning. Then I switched to 17 songs because they dropped their solos.
You know what? I can respect that. Because you have your priorities. You stand who you stand. I respect that. I stand who I stand. And I have still been listening to the IU album for 3 weeks now. And I love it. I think she's great. I can't say any more because then it turns into a sim session. And this is not what we do on this show.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, I think... again, like I just want to reiterate, I love the Soju chart. I love the discussion around it. I love what they do on the show, and then it does feel like it's here to stay. So yeah, I also love the fact that Doug,
like STAYC,
good one, good pun. I also love that Doug asked the nation, certain members of the nation, those on Harold's Homies and the mods, their opinions and their input on how the chart should, what should be focused on the chart, right? So yeah, nothing but love. Thanks, guys. And also STAYC ASAP, Spice King, retired. Let's go. 3 weeks from now, we got this. Come on, guys.
I don't think it's happening, but I believe in it.
Hey, man, anything's possible. All right, let's move on now to State of the Nation. Just a quick recap on what they talked about. No need to go into too much detail. Listen to the main show if you want their opinions on it. I will just quickly say they might as well have a sake talk show. They talk so much about anime and Japanese culture and Japanese entertainment. It would honestly do pretty well, I will say. I don't know if I am qualified enough to do an after show for that because I don't watch as much anime as Doug. But then again, I don't think anyone watches as much anime as Doug, so I think at this point Doug would just be like, yeah, the anime.
Just hold like TED Talks about anime and why it's so great.
Literally, yeah, and just talk about every single anime. I mean, he could be an anime influencer very easily. Very
And
easy.
he would get all like the figurines sponsored. Doesn't have to use the stimulus check.
Yeah. And then if he puts them in the background, then he can write it off as a tax expense because it's part of the production for his business. See?
Yes.
It all works out. See, Doug, we got ideas. Talk to us one day. We got you.
Hire us.
Please, SojuTalk Inc. Yeah? Yeah. And then the main topic of conversation after SojuTalk, Sake Talk, was Kingdom and episode 2. Koala, did you get to watch the entire episode, or did you just primarily focus on the... Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. So I'll give a recap of kind of the things that happened on the show in between the performances. So it was mainly to finish up the previous episode where they gave the rankings of 1, 2, and 6. So iKON was 6, 2 was the boys, and number 1 was Stray Kids. And then they went into a Stray Kids segment where they talked about the order of performances, because now Stray Kids has the ability to put groups into the order of performance for the following competition. Again, they edit it in a way where they're only showing who's going to perform next. And then they go into concept development, process, and like art direction for the 3 groups that will be performing on the episode. So we had the boys, iKON, and B2B. There isn't too much to say about all the behind the scenes stuff. I will say with the boys, and they mentioned this on the main show, they had this underwater water tank art concept photo shoot. Okay, pretty cool. For iKON, they had them in a boardroom, and then they were calling up their celebrity friends for ideas of what songs. I think they called... Do you remember who they called from Winner? Mino, okay. They called one other person, but I don't remember who it was.
Chani SF9.
Ah, okay, nice.
I think.
Yeah.
Why I didn't watch it.
I don't know. You're more tapped into boy groups than I am. I mean, I remember seeing it, but again, like I wasn't super paying attention. But I do.
That's why I wasn't watching it. I wouldn't have paid attention.
But I do feel like those interactions are like very sweet and like kind, right? And then they showed kind of the practice sessions, the dance practice, and the choreography, and all of that was really cool. And then for B2B, I actually can't speak on it very much. I will just admit I don't remember it. So I apologize. But kind of to tie it all together, I don't want to speak too negatively about the boys. I will just say I didn't understand the significance of the underwater photo shoot when they didn't use it for the stage. And then the fact that they didn't really show how the stage was put together. When then you see the performance, it's an expensive stage. There's so much on that stage. All right, Koala. So with the 3 performances, the boys, iKON, and B2B, which ones were your favorites, and which of the performances did you have questions about?
I'm biased. I loved iKON first. After that would be B2B and like far away the boys. Their stage just seemed so not cohesive with like all the segments. They tried to like push all the performance aspects that were very different from each other, but it just didn't feel like a stage that was enjoyable to watch. It wasn't bad, but it was just weird that there were so many switch ups. Like one second they're underwater, the next second someone is holding a hand, I don't know, and then someone is hanging from above. It was too much. It wasn't needed, and I don't know. Like, we know that they're a good performance, but this was just like way too much. Just ugh.
So I will say, well, before I get into the boys, my number 1 was B2B. My number 2 was iKON, and then followed by the boys. The boys separated by a far margin. With B2B, they did a really cool like anime sword fight segment. I think on the main show, Doug said anime sword fight senpai. Okay. Minhyuk being the MVP of that. The modern hanbok outfits were excellent, and I feel like they played really well to their strengths. So obviously, far more known for their vocals and just like very like low key performances, very minimalistic but emotional, and had a really strong presence on stage. And then the choreo is very simplistic. It's just very like, it's the very like sway side to side like bob. I don't know if you know this group, Koala. You are literally too young and not born yet when this group was big. But in the 90s, there was a vocal boy band in the United States called Boyz II Men. And this is what it reminded me of just very vocal heavy with simple choreo that anyone can do and anyone can pick up if they're, at home or at a concert and just bopping, vibing. I think they did a really nice job balancing the theatrical side of a show like this with the music, and I loved it. I actually did really like iKON. Like before B2B went on, I was like, okay, iKON's my favorite of the week, and I think everything you said was on point. What stood out to me most was the personality, and I feel like a show like this, the groups and the performers can get so focused on the precision, the choreography, the stage setup, and making sure like the art direction is all like pieced together well. But then iKON comes up and you see them smiling, you see them vibing, they do the hip hop thing where everyone's just bouncing. And I feel like that is enough to distinguish themselves from everyone else, in addition to the choreography that they are working so hard to achieve and accomplish. Do you feel like that way too with iKON, that they are able to distinguish themselves enough from the other groups?
Oh my god. I mean, it's pretty clear. Like, them and B2B, they are very different from the others. I think their style is just more hip-hop, and B2B is obviously more vocal-based, and every other group is just more in that current trend with all the performances and dance-focused. So they are distinguishing themselves, I would say.
Yeah, I think that was the worry before the show began, right? Where everyone thought that iKON and B2B are the older groups. They are not part of the generation of dance-heavy performers. And how are they going to be on stage next to so many other dance-heavy performers who have debuted in the past 3 years? And honestly, to me, like, these are the groups that are standing out the most because they are so different from everyone else. I do want to talk about the boys a little bit. I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to be just clowning on them the entire time. But I think what you said was important, that there was a lot going on and it was really hard to keep track of everything. iKON mentioned this, I think, this episode, that because the stage is so unique, there are no fans. You literally have a 360 space to work with. So there's a lot of Steadicam, which is that camera that follows them and it moves around the stage, it moves around the environment. To me, I feel like iKON used it very effectively, and it captured impactful moments to either heighten the music, heighten the choreography, or show personality for the people on stage. In my opinion, the boys used Steadicam way too much. It's the equivalent of watching a music video and watching like 1,000 cuts in a minute. Just like, I couldn't follow anything. It did feel like I was watching a play or a musical with like music in the background, and I couldn't even tell if they were singing, if it was just all like an audio track, because it was just so focused on them like performing and dancing and the camera movement and the stage. And I mean, it was a lot. I mean, props to them for getting a great budget to do that. But it just didn't work for me. So I I will just say, if you are the Boys fan, if this is your thing, if you like the Song of Ice and Fire reference to Game of Thrones, cool. It just, I felt a big disconnect with what a musical performance is supposed to be versus what perhaps a play or theatrical performance this turned out to be. Koala, any closing thoughts?
Mnet buy new cameras.
Oh yeah, you have an issue with the cameras. Can you? Well, let's go into it a little bit. I know again we don't want to be too negative, but in your opinion, what are some of the things that stand out to you as far as the camera work and the lighting that make the viewing experience less than optimal?
Lighting is very poor sometimes. The biggest issue is they really can't handle the screens. You can also tell an M countdown. If you watch like stages, there's a big quality drop once. There's a lot of stuff going on the screens. I don't know why they can't handle it, but you can tell if it's like, I don't know, the screen is like popping off, some kind of crazy shit happening, the camera quality dies. I can barely like recognize the people on the stage. It's just very bad. Like I've gotten used to it, but it still doesn't mean that it's good.
Yeah, I think it's a really a great observation, and I think that is like partly the reason why watching an entire episode of this show is a little bit more challenging than other shows. At least as for me, like I will do it just because I would like to be informed of what's happening in between. But I mean, I think this episode was clear that I didn't have to focus on it entirely to get the gist of the stories that was happening to build up to the performances. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to the quality of the show. But I mean, I'm here and I'm talking about it. So yeah, I don't think that's something that can be changed. And I just think it's something we kind of have to live with, unfortunately. But yeah. Closing thoughts about this episode, Koala, with the performances and things to look forward to next week.
Is there something next week? Is there anything next week?
It's just the remaining performances. and also like the production process and everything for whoever's left.
Will that be? No, there won't be a ranking yet. There won't be.
Yeah, they'll probably cut it off.
They need the views, yes.
Yeah, at the very end, because they'll need the votes for the past 2 weeks. And then they'll do like a ranking show in between. Well, not a ranking show in between, but I mean like they'll film the results afterwards, because I think that's what's happening right now. Yeah, and probably right now they're practicing for their next performances and next challenges. So yeah. I mean, overall, I think it's just nice to see well-known groups on a competition show together. But if I'm going to tell you my excitement level for watching an entire episode of this, let's just say I'd rather watch just the performances because they look great. And there's different camera angles, so there's different versions of it where it's just performance only, and I really like the idea of seeing the performance in its entirety. So yeah, those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you thought about the crew. And yeah, I think we're going to follow the crew's format and schedule with this. Kind of behind the scenes, I was thinking we should do a separate Kingdom show, but I didn't want to step on the toes of the main show and like release it on Friday or Monday, 2 days before the crew got a chance to talk about it. So I said, we could wait. It's fine. And you know what? I think that was a great decision. So let's move on now to closing thoughts and our weekly check-in. Koala, you are back on the show. Welcome. It's great to hear from you. We still do chat fairly frequently, but it's nice to talk about life and K-pop on a recording. So it's nice to have you back. I'm aware that you are spending your time with 3 very interesting things. I will name them and you decide how much you want to talk about them. So number 1 priority is Youth with You, Chinese simping. Number 2 is juggling because you are a clown. And number 3 is your venture into art direction with digital graphics, learning Blender, and applying to be the art director at YG. Do I have all of that correct? Did I summarize your life well?
Totally. 10 out of 10.
How's Youth With You going?
It's just simping at this point. We are not watching for the quality anymore.
So what happened recently? I heard like a lot of boys left.
Oh yeah, the last episode was elimination, so they went down to 35. They were 60 before.
That's a lot.
And at the beginning, they were 120. So, yeah.
That's a lot. Are there any standouts? Is the bald guy still there, Saitama?
Yeah, he's an 8th right now. He would debut if the ranking would be the current one.
Nice. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is he like talented overall enough to...
Hell yeah.
Okay, I guess where I was going with this is his gimmick the reason why he's there, or is he just overall talented enough?
He's overall talented and overall just a great personality. Like, he's the guy that's friends with everyone on that show.
Oh, that's good to hear.
He's friends with the rappers. He's friends with the popular kids. He's friends with some Nugu kids.
I'm curious then why he decided to have that gimmick if he didn't need it.
Oh no, it was an illness more or less. He was talking about that he was like very under pressure and under stress, and that his hair turned white and he couldn't see that. Then that's why he shaved it.
Wow, that's actually great insight. I honestly didn't know. Because
and then
go ahead.
Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, he also talked about that his hair got darker in the show, so he's very happy about it.
Nice. I think it's probably just changing scenery, changing experience and environment. Has a lot to do with like affecting that. I mean, our bodies do different things in different circumstances, so for sure. But yeah, that is a really nice like moment and story to hear from that show. I guess tell me about Lisa. How is she on the show?
She's fine, of course, but the most popular guest was Hank in the last episode. Like,
wild.
Hank,
I love that. Gosh.
No.
For those of us,
I don't get why Hank was there. To be honest, I don't understand. Yeah. It's not even her dog. Why wasn't like one of her 5 cats on that show?
Yeah. Well, for those who don't know, Hank is Rosé's dog, and Hank apparently goes everywhere with Rosé. Like, that is her child. So maybe Hank was just at the YG studio, and Lisa wanted to bring him on the show. So there you go. I mean, they record in the dance studio, so I mean, I'm sure it's not very far for Hank to just like walk over and pop in. And dogs always get views.
Cute. Very cute. Very cute.
Yeah. I don't think Lisa takes her cats out in public. I mean, most people don't. So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think that she doesn't also, because
she's the crazy cat woman. I'm expecting a lot of her. Okay.
How many does she have now?
5.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
She's living alone. She has 5 cats.
It's a lot. Like 3 I can understand. 2 was like, oh, perfect. Like 2's a great number. So if you ever do think about getting cats, typically get 2 because you want them to occupy each other's time and space and, you know, hang out with each other. You don't want them to be lonely. But when I got to 3, I was like, oh, this is serious. And then it became 4, and it's like, oh, what's happening? And then I didn't even know when she got 5. And then
when did Lego appear?
I don't freaking know. That I don't understand. Man. Well, Youth With You is a positive in your life, and I'm glad that it's helping you stay grounded. Tell me more about juggling and your art direction with Blender. How are both of those things going?
I was awake till 3 a.m. yesterday. I switched every 30 minutes between Blender and juggling. This is my life now.
Don't you have other assignments?
I have. But like I'm putting them off because Blender takes way too long. That I can rush that in like a night before the due date.
Hey man, do what you gotta do. I believe in you. Do you with Blender? Like I do try learning it. I watch the YouTube videos. What's his name? Blender Guru.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good, but you're not getting it. Is how I understand. Well, so what is it about learning digital editing and digital imagery that's just very difficult and challenging that you're not connecting with?
I think it's the shadowing and texture part that's putting me off.
Okay, you know what? That actually does make sense. Okay, because I'm not an expert, but I think when you're trying to recreate real life environmental effects, it's hard for like, well, not hard, but I think there is a disconnect with like trying to recreate that on a digital platform, at least as far as what I remember from watching his videos. But yeah, I believe in you. You'll get there, and you will get that job at YG as the art director. Anything else in life that you're looking forward to, making you happy, or?
Let me. There's no drama coming up. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah. For me, I have been applying to jobs, working on resumes, cover letters, doing a few online courses for things, just for certifications. I applied to a job last week. I won't give the details of this company, but let's just say I would be working on a campus.
Yes, it's SojuTalk Entertainment. We also have a university. You've guessed it right.
Totally. But not necessarily an academic campus. I think that's the best way I can put that. Anyways, my friend who referred me is been very eager to like keep me in touch and updated. And she texted me yesterday that she doesn't want to give empty promises, but she says they are scrambling and they're going to try to schedule people for interviews soon. Hopefully this week, hopefully next week. So look out for that. And me, I just want to interview because it's hard. Like right now, like sometimes like I will apply to like 10 places in a week. I will not hear back from anyone, or I will just straight up get the rejection email. It's like, thank you for your application, but at this time we're moving in a different direction. It's like, okay, thanks. So yeah, like I would just like to interview. I would just like to show them my awesome corner, my influencer corner.
Oh God.
And go from there. The other thing that I've been looking forward to in life, I guess for a long time now, but was reminded of yesterday, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Monday, was IOI. They will be having a reunion. Yay.
Was it already 2 days ago?
Yeah, it was Monday.
My sense of time is gone.
Yeah. So it's really strange for me because IOI, like I didn't, not that I grew up with IOI, but I knew the time IOI was really popular. And now it's like, that wasn't even long ago. And now it's like the certain era of people who are just now getting into K-pop. It's all about like IZ*ONE and like this era of girl groups and like girl music. And it's like, what did you forget? The IOI was a thing, and they were the first one. And like I think they have talked about it on the show several times that only a certain number of members from IOI have become famous and popular. But I think to me, I didn't feel like I needed to measure it against like this expansive popularity. I think Chungha is the outlier where she has taken over being an idol. I don't know how best to put that. She's taken over the spotlight, right? She's been like the biggest success. But I feel like the small successes of all the other members in their respective groups and respective companies, even if they're small, even if sadly Prison and Gugudan no longer exist, I think they did make their mark on K-pop and entertainment. What are your thoughts about the IU reunion, and are you excited to see them all together again?
Am I excited?
Did I say IU? IOI reunion.
Oh, IU. She's always on the line. Goddamn.
Gosh, I have a problem. Can I say that again? All right, what are your thoughts and opinions of the IOI reunion?
I think it's great because did they only have 1 year of contract? 1.5?
Yeah, it was very short.
It was very short compared to the other ones because Mnet just noticed from that point on that they could make a ton of money with that concept.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see them come back, I guess. I'm not the girl group fan. I like 2 of their songs. No, I like 3 of their songs.
Namu.
Nomu Nomu also exists. Maybe all of their title songs.
That's what I'm saying. They had good songs. They had good songs for that era. They had a very distinct sound. To me, I feel like they were different enough from other girl groups. I don't know if that was just the meta at that time. But yeah, they felt different enough. I really like and appreciate and follow all the other members who have kept in touch with each other. And I do feel like all of them are like really tight and like are good friends still. Just everything I've seen from like Chungha and then Somi on her vlog when she had a couple of members together. I know Dohyun and Yoojung always hang out because Wikimiki, but then they always include other people. Yeah, it's just really nice to see them all still be friends and tight and just be cool with like promoting each other's stuff. Sejong is always talking about her old members. What I thought was really interesting that came out for that news article was Kyokyung, so the Chinese member, and Mina, who former Gugudan, will not be participating because of schedule, whatever that means for their schedule, whether that's just them being or Kyokyung being in China, Mina filming dramas. It's a little sad that they won't be there in person, but apparently they'll be there over Zoom, so it'll be a Zoom call with them. Sick. Yeah. So it's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Anything else in life coming up for you, Koala?
I just want summer break to come. I have 10 weeks more to go.
That's a long time, dude. Yeah. I think for me, I'm just looking forward to working again. I'm hoping for the best, expecting the worst, and I don't know, just doing my best to keep in touch with people who could possibly help me. A lot of my friends have been really good about it. I think last month, for some reason, everyone seemed to be really busy, either like getting family members vaccinated and just like other things. So I wasn't very much in touch with them. But then I contacted everyone last week, like my regulars, to help me look for jobs, and everyone was like super like about it. So, I think hopefully in the next couple of months I'll be working. We'll have to restructure the schedule, but until then, I think we've got a nice flow going. Wouldn't you agree, Koala?
Totally.
Totally. Great. Good job. All right. Well, that ends it for this week on the show. Thank you for listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, episode 14.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord.
This has been the SojuTalk Nation. For Koala, this is Crispy. Bye.
Bye.
Namu namu namu. Namu 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 na 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 na. Chaku chaku chaku. Chaku 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 chaku.
I like Downpour.
That song is so sad.
Uzi wrote that song.
That song
Uzi
is
composed
so
it.
fucking sad.
17.
That song
17.
is stupid sad.